guys, it is time for a brand new round of box office predictions. It's kind of weird to think that this is the last round of box office predictions I'm giving you before jumping into that marathon. Again, if you guys want to, the fundraising campaign for North Shore Animal League is still up and running. I'll put the link to that in the description section of the video. So if you want, donate over there. You're supporting a great cause. Now, rolling into the recaps, there is a lot to discuss here because in Fantasy Movie League, we had 8 perfect lineups. You can see the names up on the screen right now, and they include Ryan C's Cineplex, CP Silver Screen Experience, hey, that's me, Perri Nemiroff Cineplex, Anthony, Magic XXX13 Cineplex, Dwayne Likes Pizza, M. Polari Cineplex, and Cinema Duquesance, I believe. Congratulations to all of you. I am happy to be on that chart with you. Also, I'm not going to only say the good about fantasy football. I lost last week, so now I'm 6-2, but I am determined to make a comeback this time around. Keep you posted on how all of that's going. I did think my rankings last weekend were about to be a disaster, but as happens sometimes when the estimates change to actuals, then all of a sudden the order switches. That's what happened here this weekend, and that's why I did go 3 for 5. When those actuals came in, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil did wind up on top with $19.4 million, and it was followed very, very close behind by Joker, which took in another $19.2 million. Now here's where my rankings did wind up being off, though. The Addams Family held on so strong, dropping just 26.4% and making another $12 million, which was good enough to beat Zombieland Double Tap, which made $11.8 million in weekend 2 of its release. Then at number 5, I was almost right on the money with Countdown, which opened up with about $8.9 million. So now moving on to this week, obviously the big new release is Terminator Dark Fate, but we do have 3 other wide releases hitting theaters for the first time this week, and the thing is, though, I don't think any of them really have a shot at making big money. One of them will definitely take the 5 spot, maybe one might creep into 4, but as you guys are going to see, I have too much faith in the Addams Family, so I'm sticking with the 5 position on Arctic Dogs, Motherless Brooklyn, and Harriet, and between those 3, I think I have the most faith in Harriet, which is taking my 5 spot this week. All right, so let's get into some of the specifics with these 3 movies here, and I want to look at those predicted ranges I mentioned. So with Harriet, we've got $7.5 to $9 million. Then with Motherless Brooklyn, it goes from $5 to $9 million, and Arctic Dogs is $5 to $10 million. Like I said, I am taking Arctic Dogs off the list. With that movie's non-existent promotional campaign, I don't think it has a shot. As far as Motherless Brooklyn goes, I do think that is going to appeal to older moviegoers, which will work in its favor. But the same could be said for Harriet as well. And with Harriet, I do think the fact that it's a movie about Harriet Tubman is going to get more people to the theater. So that's why I'm giving that one the edge. But with all 3 of these movies, I don't think they're going to meet expectations. They might fall on the low end of these ranges, if not below it. But of all of them, I think Harriet has the best shot of staying within the range because I'm going to give it $7.5 million, which in my rankings this time around is going to be good enough for that number 5 position. Now moving on to number 4, that is where I have the Addams Family. So yeah, Halloween is today, but this is kind of Halloween weekend, which I think is going to work in Addams Family's favor. On top of that, yet again, I think it's still very good counter programming. And then I do have to look at that rock bottom percent change it had last weekend. I don't think it's going to repeat that 26.4% dip again, but I don't think it's going to come up too much. I actually want to keep it at a 35% drop, and if that's the hit it winds up taking, it's going to make about $7.8 million this weekend. All right, now we're moving up the charts, and I got to bring in Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and also Joker into the conversation because, as you already saw, I lucked out a little last weekend with the whole estimates versus actuals thing. I'm not playing that game this time around, though. I think Joker has most certainly proved it's going to hold strong yet again, which is why my number 3 is going to Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. With this one, I am going right back to that Dumbo comparison because I think the percent change trend and some other facts are going to help me here. So Maleficent had the stronger weekend to hold. Now, at this point of its run, Maleficent is actually the one with more to lose than what Dumbo had in weekend 3 of its release. On top of that, Maleficent is facing the opening of Terminator, Dark Fate, and then Dumbo in weekend 3 was only dealing with the opening of Hellboy and Little, not nearly as much competition there. So I look at Dumbo and that 48% drop it took in weekend 3 of release, and I'm starting to think, gotta bring that number up a little bit for Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. I like an even 50%, and if that's the hit it takes, it's gonna make another $10 million this time around. So now we have arrived at the number 2 position on the charts, and of course, I'm giving it to Joker. I think this one is in great shape yet again. So thus far, the movie has never lost more than 47.6%, and that particular drop happened after a holiday weekend. I think this one is in such good shape yet again for a whole bunch of reasons. Let's read some off right now. It still has award season buzz. On top of that, there's last weekend's super minimal drop, and Terminator Dark Fate is the only big new competition hitting theaters. I think all the signs yet again are pointing to a strong hold for Joker. I do think last weekend's percent change does have to come up a little bit at this point in its run, but I don't want to bring it up much more than, I guess, to 40%. And if it does lose 40% of last weekend's profits, Joker is still taking another $11.5 million to the bank. And now it is time for my number 1 pick of the week, and of course that is going to our new big release. It is Terminator Dark Fate. We got to kick this off by looking at the predicted range. And right now I'm seeing reports of 40 million to 47 million. So the big question is, where is this one going to fall? I do want to mention that I don't think there is any chance that this one is not going to surpass Terminator Genesis and that $27 million it made when it opened. It's going to come in well above that. I think the bigger question here is whether or not Dark Fate can top Salvation. When Salvation opened up, it made $42.5 million. I am getting the feeling that Dark Fate isn't going to be able to hit a number like that, but let's think this through a little. Yes, Salvation had a prime summer release date, but I think that, one, the lack of competition, new competition right now, is going to work in Dark Fate's favor, and so is the reunion of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton. What's making me worried right now, though, are reports that the movie's international opening is a little soft. So I'm kind of thinking I have to come in under Salvation. How far down do I go? I'm kind of liking the number $37 million right now for Terminator Dark Fate's opening weekend. Of course, that brings us into the recap. Let's run down my predictions, starting with number 1, Terminator Dark Fate opening up with $37 million. Then I've got Joker at number 2 with $11.5 million, followed by Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, making another $10 million. The Addams Family coming in at number 4 with $7.8 million. And finally, Harriet taking my number 5 spot with $7.5 million. There you guys have it. I am passing the prediction duties over to you right now. Hit the comment section below. Share your top 5 picks right there. And don't forget to lock those fantasy movie league lineups. I am like flying high right now on my perfect lineup wins recently. Got to keep it going. I am very much in the top 100 this season, and I want to get closer to the top this time around. I feel like I'm on the right path. How are you guys doing? I'm so curious. If I'm not aware of your fantasy movie league standing and it's super high, tell me about what your user name is in the comments below. I do want to know how you guys are doing over there. I do have to say goodbye, but before that happens, I've got a special group of Patreons to shout out right now. This right here, it's my top tier crew. These guys have had my back for so long, and I really appreciate their support. They are Evan, Luke, Billy, Ian, Kavi, and Caleb. I can't say it enough. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your continued support and just being super cool people to talk movies with. I really do enjoy all of our chats. A huge thanks out there to everybody watching this edition of Box Office Predictions. Please don't leave this video without liking and sharing it, and then plan to tune back in next weekend to see how we all did on these predictions.